anything further from the board right now? Anything from the board? I'm gonna open up to the public, you can ask questions of his testimony,
Oh, I got a question.
specifically what he testified
Oh,
to.
Regina DeSenza, Sunset Drive, Sunrise Beach. My question is, how come we don't have a realistic, even though it's a computer simulation, because the whole entire area is destroyed. I walked it in early May. Putting all that green stuff on there and making that look all frilly like that, it will take 100 years for trees to grow like that. That's my comment and my question. Why don't you use a more realistic,
Aerial
demo
photo.
or aerial view? Cause that's not representation.
We used an aerial photograph that we were able to achieve. We didn't have it recently flown, so I apologize for that, but we used what we have available for us.
No, that's not realistic.
I have a few questions about, you talked about an area.
I'm sorry.
Anything else from the public?
Questions, come on. These are the questions from your testimony.
Sal Porcellini,
I'm sorry,
140.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your name?
Sal Porcellini, 143 Havington Court, Upper Harbor, New Jersey, 08734. I have 2 or 3 questions for you. First off, who gave you or your corporation the right to go in there and destroy the visceral pond, point it out to us, and then just say it's gone? Wetlands, precious wetlands are gone, and who gave you the right to do that? And you're gonna compensate now by telling us that the half acre, or the acre that was there for 20,000 years, 25,000 years since the last ice age, we've basically changed the topography forever, present something to the board here, and say,
So the question was, who gave him the right?
who gave them the right to do that? And how are you considering we got 26 acres or 22 acres of buildable land, when 1 acre was definitely never buildable, it was wetlands? It was wetlands before you even come down to
Okay,
the
you can
stream.
answer questions, you can make statements.
Okay.
So the question, the initial question was, you would like to answer to that? Yeah, if you can.
If I can. First off, I didn't go in and clear anything. But obviously everything whatever we've done out there, whether it was done legally, illegally, whatever was done, is under the purview of NJDEP. Whatever compensation here is required by the DEP as part of a pending application with CAFR, and we're abiding by the NJDEP rules.
Well, but you didn't abide by,
You can ask him a question.
okay. Well, how are you abiding by the rules if you're destroying wetlands?
Again, I'm not privy to what was destroyed or wasn't destroyed. I just know that we're subject to NJDEP CAFR, and if there's something that was destroyed, there's a mitigation that's required, and also restoration that's required. It's all part of our NJDEP permit.
All right. The second question, where is the salt runoff gonna go from your composite of 22 acres or 28 acres of highly developed, intensely developed property?
So again, I'm not sure how to direct my testimony, but the runoff on the site is obviously part of the overall stormwater management plan and the stormwater maintenance plan. It's not only approved by the township, but also by Ocean County Soils and by NJDEP. It's all taken into consideration as part of your maintenance manual that will be recorded with the county, runs with the land.
I think our town really needs to consider, because of the sensitive area here, that possibly putting the restriction to only sand in that property at any and all times. So that the environmental constraints down there.
And that's your.
I didn't place you under oath, so that's, you can't give testimony if you're not under oath, but, so.
I can raise my hand.
You can, but now is not the time to do
Okay.
that. Right now is the time for cross-examination of this particular witness. So if there's anyone from the public who has a question to cross-examine him, but now is the time.
All right, that's all I have.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Steve Post, 105 Manchester Avenue. Question, you had mentioned,
Speak into the microphone, please.
you had mentioned, phasing in this project. The phasing that you had mentioned, what does that pertain to? Is that pertaining to the residential and the commercial, or is that phasing within the residential?
I believe what I testified to, that commercial aside, because we're not here for final approval on commercial, at the residential, right now, we're not proposing any phasing for the residential.
Okay.
The only thing I talked about was
color phasing.
the COA phasing. We're required by law to bring the affordable units on certain increments in conjunction with the market units. That's the only phasing I
That's
spoke
the only
about.
phasing that you're speaking
Correct.
of. Okay, all right, and then, next question, the buffer that's between the building on the south side, the Long Building, and, ooh, that's a junkyard, it looks like a wooded area there, and there's no swell, okay? Do you have a provision in case there's a fire, do you have some kind of a break there, in case there's a fire within the junkyard? Or is that just staying wooded with no swell, no stone?
There
That's
is,
just, as, cause I know the residents of that building, they don't wanna see a junkyard, so it's gonna be all trees there. But is there a provision in your drawing for that, some kind of fire break?
there's approximately 10-foot separation between the building and there's a retaining wall. Within the 10 feet, there's drainage inlets along the bottom, pick up roof and runoff along the lawn area, then there's a retaining wall, and then the landscaping is located on top of the retaining
Oh,
wall.
I see the retaining wall.
Yes.
And you know the height of that, by chance?
I think earlier my testimony at the very
6 foot?
eastern side starts off at 0, goes up to about, I think, 8 feet.
8
But I can
feet.
double check that for you, the center.
Okay, that's fine, I was just curious. Thank you.
You bet.
Any other questions from the public?
Helen Henderson, Camelot Court, Little Harbor. Hi, how are you?
Good yourself.
Good, thanks. I just wanted to confirm a couple of things that you said earlier. DEP has agreed to the deed restriction lifting?
Correct, that's what I was told by our consultant.
Okay. And that's still gonna include the land swap, compensation in Little Egg Harbor?
Correct.
I believe, okay. Can you tell me again, what is a DOT letter of no interest?
So my understanding, in the years I've been doing this, a letter of no interest is if you have an application, a permit, sorry, an NJDOT access permit, as long as the trips, during peak hour, less than 100 peak trips, it's considered a letter of no interest, and that's written by the traffic consultant engineer submitted to NJDOT. They consider that a letter of no interest, for those, based on your current permit, that you're not exceeding the 100 trip threshold.
I ask most of these questions for the members of the public here because I think a lot of things get said and sometimes they don't know the right questions to answer, to ask. So some of them I ask for myself, some maybe because other people don't understand. For the rental units, is it an appropriate question to ask how much the 1 and/or 2 bedroom rent would be?
Not inappropriate, I have no idea.
You don't have any
Just
idea.
the engineer.
And the COA phasing, are the COA units set to be 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, or is it the same percentage of either or?
No, well, the COA has regulations that talk about what the percentages of 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, and 3s. So there's a maximum 20% of 1 bedrooms, there's a minimum 20% of 3 bedrooms, and I think a minimum percentage of 30% of 2 bedrooms, so, did I say that? Right. Maximum on 1 bedrooms, a minimum 30% on 2 bedrooms, and a minimum 20% on 3 bedrooms.
Okay, I hope somebody wrote that down.
It's in the back regulations.
And then I think the last question, we probably spent a lot of time, the board and the developers representatives, talking about the development of the roadway, which, I understand is an important thing for the township. It's not part of this application, but it was talked about significantly. So we really, the members of the public, we can't ask questions about that yet. And if we can't, is that, you're gonna apply for a DEP permit, but when does the public get to ask the local officials about the specifics of that roadway?
So I can't speak about when you talk to the town about that. There was a set of plans that was submitted as part of this application that were specific for Railroad Avenue. It's like a 15-page set that was submitted as part of the application for the construction of Railroad Avenue from Laurel Boulevard to the southern terminus of our property. So those plans are on file at the township for you to look at and have questions on that portion of it. I can't speak about, I know there were plans that were done years ago for the balance of it, from down to Haynes, but those plans would obviously have to be redone and updated based on stormwater regulations. Those ones I can't speak about, I can only speak about the ones that are subject of, our application itself. The road's gonna be built in front of our property as part of this, any approval that we may see from this board. And those plans are filed at the township for that stretch of Railroad Avenue.
And that's what the, board engineer is considering for stormwater approval here locally? The portion along your property?
I would assume, I can't speak for Bruce, I would assume because that portion of Railroad Avenue would be dedicated to the township, but they're gonna look at it and make sure that it meets with their stormwater, as well as what we have to do for both the county soils and for DEP.
And thank you very much. If I had any questions specifically about the design of that, the trail, not really concerned about how you design the road, the trail portion, should I come back up during regular public comment to ask this board about those considerations, or do you want me to just ask it now?
With regards to the trail with the county, certainly,
Well,
I'll be
yeah,
happy to answer whatever I
yeah,
can, yeah.
yeah.
What's your question?
Oh, well, you were speaking a lot about, making the trail connection, so the question is, what does that look like? What does that
The
roadway look
county's
like?
been holding off on finishing the trail, waiting to determine whether or not the town is gonna proceed any further with getting another capital permit and extending the road in the parts that are missing. We had hoped to be able to put it into, motion next year and get the trail built. If the applicant, and the town work together to get the permit, we would be happy to take in and have the, applicant, if he's gonna do it, pay the applicant to build that part of the trail. If not, the county will come in there and build it right away, we have no problem with that. We just have to try and find out when we'll be ready, so we can put it into motion at the county with regards to our engineering department, and then we'll just finish out the trail. I think we only have from, Lower Boulevard down to Musket, and then we'll have the whole trail finished in Lacey.
I'll just
Right,
add,
so-
and we're not speaking for everybody on township, but they were probably committed to doing from Haynes to South Street, but beyond that, I'm not sure. The road, but I'm speaking of my
Yeah,
opinion.
can I get a confirmation that the trail would be in the cleared portion of the right of way?
We have to wait till the engineering maps are completed, but that's our intention. Because don't forget, the trail is really, up on the area where you come across, where we just put those flashing lights up. The trail comes into that wooded area there, we're gonna continue down that same side, and then tie it in. If the town doesn't choose to take and go from Haynes Street to Musket, we still wanna build the trail there, at the same time as we build this other portion of the trail. If we have to take and redo something later on, we'll redo it, but the trail gets used, well, it gets used quite a bit.
Yeah, I would love to stay engaged as
Yeah,
much
yeah.
as possible.
Yeah, as soon as we get maps from the, town and the applicant, if this proceeds forward, I'll be in touch with you and I'll have the engineers reach out to you, or Tony Aguilar from our planning department, one of those guys.
Who's the consultant that confirmed DEP?
Mark Moriello works in-house with us, and, I wanna say it's ETI, but I'm not sure. I got my information from Mark, who deals with the environmental portion of our, company itself, so he told me that today, but I think he got it from ETI or somebody, I think it was a consultant. I can give you my card, I can give you
I don't think, I just wanted to ask that question, and that was, I think that's everything that I have. The rest of my comments are really just about the discussion the board has had, and I don't know, if you get a chance to fix mistakes of the past, then take it. Thank you.
Anything else from the public? See, now it's a public portion.
I had a couple, I just wanted to cap on a couple of things to make sure, because obviously we're gonna put this off to next month, so I went on the record. A couple of quick questions. One, I understand you responded to Mr. Quinn that these buildings do have fire suppression in them.
Correct.
Number two, I know we have handicap parking. Is the handicap units gonna be all on the first floor, or do we have elevators? I didn't see any elevators in plans, so we have people who are handicapped on the third floor.
Yeah, I believe, and I can't speak to code, I believe the way it works is the first floor is accessible, second floor is navigable.
The other thing, there was a conversation about when the Kirby's pavement gets consider, the pervious pavers that are not cemented in but filled with sand. We use them behind the middle school, so fire trucks can get around back instead of putting blacktop. Is that something that would be more?
I have to defer to my engineer, but I don't, we can take a look at that. I don't believe it serves the same purpose. I understand what you're talking about, the grass pavers for emergency access with the sand, but porous pavement is specifically designed to allow water to infiltrate for stormwater. I don't know.
Until they
whether-
get clogged up.
Until they get clogged up.
Ron.
I'm sure that,
I think he was trying to say they also have provisions for porous pavers,
Porous
not
pavers.
grass pavers.
Oh, I'm
Porous
sorry.
pavers
Porous
as opposed to porous asphalt. Would you be willing to substitute for?
let me take a look at that. If we're coming back, I'll answer for you next month.
And the only other thing, while someone talked about the junkyard next to you, your aerial photo with your borderline shows there's several of their cars, junk cars in your property, and that would be something that needs to be addressed.
Yeah, we know for a fact that there's encroachment, especially in the lower, what I call the very southern tip of it, where the junkyard makes a bend. We know that there's debris over the property line.
But will there be a fencing to, and make them clean up, or?
We'll be sending a letter, we sent letters to them already about removing their stuff off our property. I have to get back to you on the fencing, there's only certain things we can do, because it's part of the NJDP conservation area, there's only certain things we can do with fencing.
I'm just concerned that in the future, they're gonna have junk cars up there, and it's mainly with the gasoline stuck in your tanks, so, you know.
We don't want it either, I just don't know what we can commit to with the conservation.
And again, you're gonna follow up on the 100-foot piers. And Bruce, I also told them we have those specs from Forked River, if we can make them available from the last applicant.
I'll forward some stuff that was supplied to the board on the fire truck turning radius for the unit they have.
Thank you, and we also have an application in Berkeley, the third reason I can probably get it
Right, but
as well.
but the Forked River's ladder truck piers, they're both identical, but I wanna make sure we have ours on file. That's it, I have.
Anything else from the board?
No, one other thing, Ron, are you planning to do irrigation at the site?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
I think we're good. Just testimony.
With pleasure, I would request that the matter be carried, this opportunity to consult ownership on the issues of the numbers of units and the alternate options. I would request that council confirm that, notice we made tonight, so we don't have to be noticed. And we publish it at the hearing date will be 9/12, again at 6:30.
You're waiving any time limitations.
If you have a thing, I'll sign it tonight, otherwise I'll send you. It's on the record, we can send you extension through September, and if you want to have something, if you have a form, I'll throw it out.
Not necessary. Okay, for the public, the board is about, move to postpone this, carry this application to the September 12th, meeting of the board. No other notice will go out, nothing more in the newspaper, or if anyone got letters, you're not gonna get another letter. Right now, my announcement, and council's announcement is your notice that the application will be continued September 12th. Same time, same station.
And to get information that's relevant to the discussion, if that is certainly, Bruce, and Terry, as well. People make sure that we're aware, so when we get here, we'll know what we stand.
Thank you very much.
Right.
Should I make a motion to carry this?
Yes.
Yes.
Vice Chair Gray? Yes. Carter?
Yes.
Green? Green? Say yes.
Yes.
Mr. Reed, yes. Mr. Letelier? Yes. Mr. Brandt?
Yes.
Chairman Cortez?
Yes.
Not adjourned yet.
Motion adjourned.
General public comment.
Welcome to the public again for any,
Oh, yeah.
general matters.
Well, it's gonna be about the application.
Not about the